Yo everybody, what's going on? This is Keegan from Kman Reviews. If you enjoy this review, make sure you hit that like and the subscribe button, and if you have any opinions at all that you would like to share, make sure to leave them down in the comment section. Lana Del Rey, Chemtrails over the Country Club. Elizabeth Grant, otherwise known as Lana Del Rey, is an American singer, songwriter, producer, and an artist I've been following for a good couple years now. I truly joined the bandwagon with the release of her fifth studio album, Lust for Life, which, while not a perfect release, it was commendable how expansive and vulnerable that record was. And by pure chance, due to the Grammy nominations, I checked out her sixth album, Norman fucking Rockwell, in 2019, which is probably the best choice I made that entire year, as that was a phenomenal record. And over the past year, I was always wondering, how is Lana going to top such a landmark album? Well, we're going to find out, as this is her latest studio album as of recording this video, her seventh, Chemtrails over the Country Club. Just like NFR, this album's been getting rapturous praise, so I'm excited to dive in. What are my thoughts on Chemtrails over the Country Club? Let's find out as I review it track by track. We will start with the singles, with there being two of them. The first being Let Me Love You Like a Woman, which is the lead single I kinda expected from a Lana record. Very somber, moody piano opening up the track and continuing throughout alongside some waves of muted guitar. It's nothing groundbreaking at all. Fans will eat up this melody as it sounds strikingly similar to her older work. And Lana's vocals also remain pretty similar, elegant falsettos and nice harmonies with ethereal double tracking as well. Lyrically, there are a decent amount of topics here, Lana wanting to run away from the big city to somewhere more secluded, yet also wanting to be her own independent woman at the same time, where she sings lines like, "Let me shine like a diamond, let me be who I'm meant to be." Regardless of those lyrics, I still think the track is pretty good. And the second and final single, the title track, Chemtrails Over the Country Club, which I think is a gorgeous song all the way throughout. The swampy piano and the angelic strings, it feels very quiet and minimal, but when combined with Lana's delicate voice, it turns the track into this swooning, hypnotic, serene vibe. The vocal melodies are very captivating as well, rising and falling with various speeds. It's just such a track to get lost in. Lyrically, the track is a little bit self-centered, no profound, conscientious lyricism, just seems like it's her trying to reclaim or reminiscing about this lost childhood innocence. Frankly, I get too entranced in this swaying melody to see any real issue with these lyrics. It's almost carefree to an extent, and I absolutely love it. Great song. Now for the rest of the tracks. Opener White Dress is probably one of the most polarizing Lana tracks I have seen in a while. A lot of people claim it's one of the best things she's ever done, and I've heard a few people say it's easily the worst on this record, and I kind of fall towards the latter's perspective. This track just did not do too much for me, and it all really comes down to that chorus and Lana's vocal performance there, which it really did not stick with me at all. I've seen positive points coming into this debate whether that melody is good there, and I can understand where that adoration comes from, but for me, what I hear is a strained, forced, almost blown falsetto. Kind of reminds me of Lauryn Hill's Unplugged 2.0 show, where her voice just completely died near the end, and there it sounded bad. And not to mention Lana's awkward syllable cramped singing as well, which I have not been a fan of in any genre, so it naturally didn't work for me here. The rest of the track here is pretty harmless though. The theatric pianos and the verses are very well sung, natural voice, and it's great. But that chorus is just not my cup of tea at all. You guys can praise this track all you want. I'm not going to rain on your parade, but at least in my opinion, didn't do much for me. I'll pass. Tulsa Jesus Freak is a song that didn't originally have a positive impact on me. I thought the instrumental was way too skeletal, the melodies were overall weak, and the vibe just wasn't there. Thankfully, I did warm up to it tremendously and found the grooves in the popping percussion, and these vocals taking a journey going from pretty normal in the beginning to progressively more languid and upbeat and playful post-chorus. Lyrically, we get more of this escapism Lana delivered on Let Me Love You Like a Woman, heading back to the more rootsy places and escaping the glamorous city life. I'm thankful I grew to like this one. It's pretty solid. Wild at Heart is a song that sounds like it would have fit perfectly in the track list of NFR, with this quiet, reserved guitar giving the track a bit of a country twang to it. Another thing that just kind of sells this track for me is the vocals, the melodies, and tones. Everything just reminds me of Love Song from NFR, which if you saw my review of that album, you'll know that that was my favorite track on the record. So yeah, this clicked with me right up from the get-go. And that's not even including the other features I like here, like the deep underlying bass, the tambourine work as well, and the chorus period is beautiful. Lyrically, it seems to be about being passionate and wild in this relationship and the freedom that follows such behaviors. Great track, I love this one. Dark But Just a Game is certainly an album highlight, presenting Lana in a bit more of a submerged styling, fitting to the title with the murky guitar work, not to mention all the sonic change-ups here with these sweeping builds only to topple back down to the original instrumental. It feels like an adventure alongside Lana's more sensual vocal delivery here. But what I really like about this track is the lyrical message and backstory to it, with the title being a quote from producer Jack Antonoff, narrowing down on the facade some artists play just to gain fame. But they end up following this crooked path and end up becoming miserable. Lana sings over this with the mindset that she doesn't want to have her fame, but at the same time she doesn't want to change and succumb to the same path she's seen many stumble down before. A beautiful song. I like it. Not All Who Wander Are Lost is probably the slowest and quietest track on the record, and this is how you do an extremely high voice effectively, not like on White Dress. On the chorus here, it sounds absolutely phenomenal, almost effortless for Lana. There's no straining or clunky forcing of lyrics. Her voice just propels this track for the most part, and it soars to amazing heights because of it. As mentioned already, the track is very quiet. The only instrumentals here are a simple acoustic melody and garnishes of an electric guitar that just peek out before the bridge, and it does feel like it brings the track to its conclusion very softly. Lyrically, it simply plays with the concept of distinguishing appearance from reality, but in this case, it seems to be about Lana's touring life. A really good song. I like it. Yosemite doubles down on the country themes present on Wild at Heart, and yet again, I think it's done really well here. The guitars are the driving force of the track, and with them being so upfront, they almost lean the track into the more folky side of music, kind of like what Taylor's been doing recently. I know that comparison may piss off some people, but it's just what I hear. And what pulls it back to reality is Lana's wonderful voice here. The fluttering falsettos, they're so pillowy and decadent. Lyrically, it's pretty simple, just about how relationships can change over time. It can fizzle out or glow with a fiery passion. Very nice track, worth a listen. Breaking Up Slowly really threw me off on opening moments, as I was thinking this does not sound like Lana at all. Turns out Nikki Lane has an uncredited feature on the track, and in my opinion she really steals the show here. Her rougher timbre overpowers Lana's more serene vocals, and honestly makes the more twangy western-themed track so much better beside the electrics and acoustics that progressively start to swallow the vocals as it goes on. Lyrically, it seems to be how the slow, encroaching demise of a relationship is very difficult to deal with, how needing space can seem like a lot, but it's the right thing to do at times. Not a bad track, but certainly one of the weaker ones here. Dance Till We Die kind of feels like this ballady track, which I know seems a bit contradictory considering most of the album could arguably be considered ballad material. But listening to music for a long time, you start to become familiar with these tempos and tones and overall feeling that a ballad has, especially on the opening verse and chorus here with the quivering strings and light guitar plucks, before the track completely transmutates on the bridge with this brass section, gaining much more of an upbeat style with some quirky, playful vocal performances and a confident drum beat. It feels like an extravagant celebration to close off this record, as the lyrics match this, sort of being a little bit of a flex to the connections Lana's gathered over her time in the music industry, continuing this positive trend. What a good song, worth a listen. And finally, the closer For Free featuring Zella Day and Wise Blood, which is actually a cover of the song of the same name by Joni Mitchell, which really felt like a bit of an odd inclusion to this record on first listen, since Dance Till We Die felt like such a nice closer. Taking a deeper dive though, the track is a fitting lyrical addition to the record, and all three singers cover this very well, but I think it is said lyrics of this original track that help to solidify and form the perfect microcosm for this record, as the track deals with the toxic and harming perspectives of both fame and work in the music industry. Very similar topics Lana wrote about in spades on the tracks prior. So a good song on its own, but an even better ending to this record. Overall, this album really shaved off the glamorous side of Lana's music that was present on Norman fucking Rockwell, and while I don't think this album reaches the heights of that record at all, it is still a very good record and one of the better ones Lana's released to date. Love the lyrics, love most of the vocal performances, and I went into this expecting to not like it automatically and complain, critique, and compare it to a lot of its predecessor, but this is a record that can live out of NFR's shadow and shine on its own pretty well. I'm feeling an 8 out of 10 on this record. Well, guys, hope you enjoyed that review. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Peace.